Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Today's gospel text is taken from St. John chapter 1, the words of John, "And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. We beheld his glory, glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." I don't know if any of you remember this show that was on some years ago. It was called Undercover Boss. Any of you remember this show? Kind of a crazy show where you would have the boss of some big corporation would kind of go undercover and would sneak into one of his retail outlets or wherever it is. And you could always tell that there was this sort of glee at what he was going to find when he snuck in and saw what was really going on. It was a great show if you liked people getting embarrassed. Well, we have a picture here of Jesus Christ who takes on flesh and blood, not in order to be an undercover boss, to try and catch us at doing something bad. Frankly, he already knows that, as do we all. We are all poor and sinful and in need of great redemption, love. And so Jesus Christ comes into our flesh and blood, not to be a boss, not to catch us at something, but rather he comes to take on our place. Instead of coming and sneaking in to show us what we're doing wrong, he comes in, he sneaks in to make things right. Now that's a boss I can kind of get behind. That is the picture. That Jesus Christ, who is the Word made flesh, whose Word created the heavens and the earth. So we're not just talking about a boss, someone who has a certain amount of power over a person, but we are talking about the boss, the one who is over all things in heaven and on earth. And it is that one that comes into the womb of the Virgin Mary and who becomes as helpless can be. Not for a little while, not for a moment or two, for a weekend or something like that, but he comes into our flesh and blood for his whole life long. Beginning as a helpless child in the womb, and continuing and submitting to his mother and stepfather, Joseph. And throughout his life, this little branch is growing. This one who comes to restore everything that has been messed up in this world. And if there is one thing that we know, it is that there is a lot of mess upness to go around. Not just for the world as a whole, but for you and for me. For our lives are messed up. Little bits, big bits, sin, death, shame, sorrow. It all kind of rolls in together. And frankly, that pressure cooker of the holidays makes some of these things all the more painful, difficult. And yet, it is in that very place that Jesus Christ comes for you. He comes not as a boss, not as a Lord, but as your servant. And he hides himself, his very flesh and blood, under bread and wine in the Lord's Supper. In fact, it is called Christmas. I know Lutherans don't like the word Mass, and I appreciate that, but that is what the word actually means, is Christ Mass, the Lord's Supper. The place where God continues to give us his own flesh and blood, just as he took on our flesh and blood on that first Christmas day. So this day, rejoice, be glad, for Jesus Christ has been born in us, and you are now born anew in him, bringing hope, bringing life, bringing forgiveness, bringing a joy that will never end. Merry Christmas in Jesus' name. Amen.